Hello guys, so I finally got Ableton 11 and I'm very excited to show you what I've done with it on my first day. I'll be honest with you, I have my doubts at first. I wasn't really sure if I really wanted to get the upgrade, but as I read more and more about the new devices, I felt curious and I didn't want to feel like I was left behind, so I went for it. And so far it's been a good experience. I'm very impressed. Let's get into it. Let me show you what I've done. Hey guys, so let's get into this. I'm very excited. I just opened Ableton 11 for the very first time. And wow, the first thing I see is this help view on the right side. Wow, it looks very helpful. I think this is gonna save me lots of time. So there's basically a description of what's new. All the devices listed, all the new features. I thought I was gonna have to go to the website and, on the side, use the website as a checklist, but not at all. We can learn a lot by reading all this stuff. Very nice descriptions of everything. So I'm very happy. I'm gonna give this a very good read to try to understand the devices, but first thing is just putting the track together and see for real, like experience, what's the difference. One thing I've just noticed is that all my packs are already there and my settings, everything seemed to be transferred from Ableton 10 to Ableton Live 11. So wow, this is good. Like I don't really need to touch the settings section or tell Ableton Live 11 where my VSTs are, nothing like that. Like everything's done. It's ready to go. In terms of looks, it feels like a little bit of the same, like nothing really changed. The resolution is a bit different, or maybe I'm just hallucinating. The faders, maybe they changed a little bit. I'm not sure. With the in general terms, I wouldn't say that the looks change, and that's a good thing because I was very familiar with how everything looked and I didn't really want anything to change. Now, based on this list, I think what I want to do is put together a song or a track using all the devices and reading a little bit, learning about these new updates and stuff. And then show you like what's the difference, bypass the devices with and without and tweak it a little bit so you see what's happening with all this new stuff. The features and refinements in this second list below, I feel like these are things we're gonna be learning on the go. We'll have to do comping, deal with MPE, use the tempo follower, so we're gonna see these ones as we go. Unfortunately, I don't have a MPE MIDI controller device, nothing MPE. I have a Launchpad X that's after touch, and I think I'm gonna use it. I can see here that they did some improvements to push 2, and unfortunately I don't have push 2 with me at the moment, but Launchpad X works as a push in a way, so we're gonna be able to test it somehow. Okay, so I made it. I have one new device in each of my tracks, and it's getting there. I'm starting to feel like I understand what was Ableton trying to achieve. Now, understanding the devices wasn't as easy as I thought it was gonna be. This is really forward thinking in a way. Some of the devices are really impressive and things I never experienced before with any other DAW. Okay, so this is my new track. I wouldn't call it a track, we just have 8 bars of good stuff, but I'm very happy that I managed to use all the new devices. Let's go track by track. I'll be following the order suggested here on the what's new in Live 11 help section list. I'll be honest with you, some of these things are hard to explain with words. I think it will be better if I show you with the knobs what's going on. Okay, so first on the list we have Hybrid Reverb. To test it, I chose this piano clean sound. There's a little bit of stereo information in there, which I could remove easily, but I'll choose not to do that. Let's listen to this loop. It sounds very clean, right? And there's not much space information. So now let me show you the difference once we add a little bit of hybrid reverb. I'm very impressed with the amount of options hybrid reverb gives you when it comes down to creating space. These are options that I don't see in other reverbs normally. It's very well explained. If we go to the help section on the left, the bottom corner, we can see explanations for each of the parameters. I really like the EQ included in this tab. With the EQ, we can control like what goes through the reverb and what's going out. So basically, if you feel like you have too much mid information or the reverb is making the instrument sound muddy, you can fix it here without any complication. Next on the list we have the Spectral Resonator. I chose to add it to a drum kit I have. Let's check it out. Notice how the sound of the kit is very acoustic-like. It's gonna be interesting to see what the Spectral Resonator can bring to the mix. I'll activate the device and turn the dry wet knob towards wet little by little. Let's go. I was really happy to achieve this sound with just one effect device. I was a bit melancholic yesterday because Daft Punk announced their separation. This drum kit reminds me a bit of them, I don't know why. You can definitely do many things with it. Check how you can choose the frequency, the decay, damping, and even the source of the harmonics. Could be either internal or from another MIDI track. I'll turn the knob back to my sweet spot, which is 31%, maybe 33. Let's check it out. Yeah, 33 feels right. Next on the list we have Spectral Time. Spectral Time must be the most intimidating device I've used so far in the new update. Through some trial and error, I made it to achieve the sound I wanted, mixing it with a pad sound that I have in my library. Let me show you how this pad sounds without any effects applied first. We have some low mid frequency notes and also some sort of keys mixed in between. I'll activate the device and start turning the dry wet knob from left to right so you notice the difference. Let's go. I really recommend you spend your time learning more about this one because there are so many options, but at the same time you could mess up your mix if you don't do the right thing. Adding too much delay to this one track could make it sound muddy and lose all the dynamics. So two things I learned while using it that are fundamental are using this X fade knob smartly, trying to find the perfect bounce for your track, and of course the input send and dry wet knobs just to find the perfect sweet spot. Once I achieved the sound I wanted, I had to add this EQ to reduce these frequencies in the lower range. Even after adding the X fade and getting the instrument to bounce a little bit, I was a bit uncomfortable with how it sounded in the mix. So I would advise this in case you choose pad sounds for Spectral Time device. You'll also find that the resolution options change the sound massively, so it's good to try them out, but at the same time they're gonna consume more and more CPU, so be careful. Next on the list we have Ensemble. This is not a new device, more of an upgrade of a previous device that we have on Ableton 10. I'll be testing it with the electric piano instrument from Ableton. And I can also notice there are some upgrades in terms of design, views, and some of the options. Let's play a loop without the device Ensemble activated so you can see the difference later. As you can notice, I chose the higher frequency notes, maybe in the third, fourth octave of the piano roll. It's gonna be interesting to see how the Ensemble adds stereo information to these notes. Let's activate the device and turn the dry wet knob to the right and notice the difference. I feel that this device didn't change much, but of course I was able to find a very nice sweet spot there, and I was happy to interact with the new options in here. Overall, I felt that it was easier to achieve the sound I wanted. The previous chorus plugin device wasn't as deep as this one, and it took way longer to get what you wanted out of it. My new favorite feature was the ensemble mode in the device. It makes everything sound wider, but whenever things get way too wide, you can turn down this width parameter here. After finishing and getting the sound I wanted, I added this other EQ8 just to make sure the mids and low mids are not too present in the mix. Next on the list we have the Phaser-Flanger. This is a very smart device because it's like having a phaser and flanger together at the same time. I chose a lead sound for this one. Let's check it out. And now let's compare it with the device activated. As in the other devices, presentation-wise, this is a 10 out of 10. It's amazing the amount of visual information we get and all these little things that help us visualize and understand what's happening to sound. I'm not a big fan of phasers and flangers myself, but this device motivates me to start exploring this type of sound. At this point, I was starting to feel like my song was getting way too glitchy, so I didn't go for very wet sounds. At this point I started realizing that these effects really change the sound of things and affect the stereo field. So I wouldn't have them all together at the same time in all my tracks at 100% wet, that's for sure. I think my personal preference would be having one of these devices in one of my tracks at 60, 70, 80% just to make the sound different and exciting, or maybe add a little bit of each to all my regular instruments just to create the harmonics I want and make the sound a bit more exciting. This is the last of the new devices. The rest on the list are just upgrades to previous ones we had in Ableton 10. Let's test these upgrades and see what's left on the list. So next on the list we have the Redux update. Redux was always one of my favorite devices in Live 10. I love the way it could create harmonics in the higher frequencies, but at the same time it was hard to find a sweet spot. I feel that this new update is focusing on that, helping you achieve a more clean and harmonic sound. They added additional parameters like jitter, shape, and especially the dry wet knob. I chose to add this device to my mids group, where I have all my keyboards and pads grouped. After Redux, I added a channel EQ where I'm trying to roll off the low frequencies just to make space for my bass later. I'll turn off and on the device at 0% and start turning the knob to the right so you can feel the difference. Let's go. Playing with Redux was so satisfying. I was happy to find that all these new improvements really make a difference in my workflow. Sometimes I would add EQs just to try to play with the harmonics and reduce the distortion with multiband compression and stuff like that. But now, with Redux just by itself, all that is possible by turning the knobs, and especially the dry wet knob. That was an amazing addition. Redux is the type of plugin that can add stuff to your mix, stuff that wasn't there before, harmonics, resonance, so you gotta be careful, but as long as you play smartly with the dry wet knob, you're gonna be fine. And well, I checked the rest of the list. I noticed that most of the improvements and updates revolve around MPE. As I said before, I don't have an MPE device with me, but I'm sure I can have fun with my Launchpad X and the Aftertouch options. I have a wavetable track that can help us test it. I set Aftertouch to control filter 1 frequency in the MPE menu. So let's test it. The harder I press the pads, the more the filter affects the tonality of the lead. It's a very pleasant sensation. I guess this is gonna give me more control whenever I play those crazy leads or even chords. MPE is definitely a very interesting addition, and I'm sure I'll be exploring it a bit further once I get one of those MPE exclusive devices. Wavetable, sampler, simpler, and even some of the Max for Live devices got this upgrade. If you don't have a MIDI controller with MPE like myself, but maybe pads or keys or anything that responds to Aftertouch, test it this way and see if MPE is something you could be using in the future. I'm sure we'll start seeing a new trend of MPE MIDI controllers in the market with many different ways of expressing yourself and playing the hardware. Can't wait to see that happen, like it's really exciting for sure. Okay, so now that we finished adding effects, new effects to all my tracks, we're gonna do a little experiment here. I'll play my beat with all the new effects bypassed so you can later notice the difference. Let's play the beat first with no effects, no new effects added. Let's go. Now I'll turn on all the effects that were previously addressed and mentioned, and I also have to mention that I added a bass line with a Phaser-Flanger, so we're gonna listen a little bit more of this in the mix. Let's turn on the effects one by one. First the drums with the Spectral Resonator, my bass track with the Phaser-Flanger, my mids group where I already had a channel EQ in our Redux, 25%. This is a Spectral Time with its EQ. This is the pad hybrid reverb on this piano keyboard, as mono as possible. Electric piano with chorus ensemble, and not much mid-low information. We have a sampler here, but no new effects added. MPE with the wavetable, but no effects added. Then I have a leads group with no low frequency information, or well, as reduced as possible. One of my leads with Phaser-Flanger, and this guitar track that we won't be playing yet, but I don't have any new effects on it. So let's go. Let's hit the play button. So I can notice the difference, like so much more harmony, a brighter sound, a bit glitchy. It's good and I enjoy it. I'm very happy with it. Wow, so that was it. That was me playing with Ableton 11 for the first time and exploring the new effects and new devices. I'm very impressed. There's more to explore. I know there are packs that I haven't downloaded yet. Especially the one that's called Sounds by Nature or something like that. That one looks impressive visually, the features, the description. I can't wait to test it. I'll let you know as soon as I do it. Some of these features and devices, but especially the devices, are a bit intimidating. These are things I never thought about before, like the use of spectral time and resonance. Combination of phaser and flangers. This is a bit new to me, but in a good way. I remember I read somewhere, I think you're gonna find it in the help view, Ableton is mentioning that they want us to play with contemporary sound. The word contemporary was used somewhere, and that's something intriguing. In the introduction of the video, I said that I was starting to understand Ableton's proposal, and I think this is it. They're trying to push things forward. To me, this is a great opportunity to push my sound in a more contemporary direction. Just remember, I feel like you cannot overuse the effects like I did just now, because this was a little bit too much. But if you're subtle and know how to use your dry wet knobs, you're gonna be in a good place. We also have all those new packs to explore. This is gonna take some time, but good times to come for sure. I'll be testing all this new stuff and releasing more videos. Make sure you watch me on Twitch if you want to interact with me or hang out. I'm streaming every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, consistently. I'll see you in the next video. Adios.